If you're a new author and you're trying to handle your ARCs or your advanced reader copies, there are a couple of things that you need to know. And there have been so many questions from newer authors recently in the industry, I thought I would go over some of the finer points with this. So the first thing you need to know is that you do not have to do advanced reader copies. You can do whatever works best for you. These ARCs, the advanced reader copies, are often given out in hopes of reviews. Now, you are not legally allowed to give somebody a book and then demand a review from them. It's against the terms of service. It's against some of the federally things. So you cannot require them, but we kind of know how these things work. If your readers who are getting these ARCs post anything about in exchange for, you can get in big trouble. So make sure we're educating people on this one, being very careful on how we do this. ARCs are becoming less and less relevant, and ARCs really only have a significant impact if you've done a ton of marketing in advance. So people are super hyped about this book. If people are clamoring to get their hands on this book and they have to wait for the pre-order to come through, then maybe you have some legs when it comes to these ARCs. But a lot of people just don't do ARCs anymore. I don't. I typically do not do advanced reader copies because it's not that beneficial in a lot of cases. Having those reviews, sure, that is helpful, but accurate organic marketing is going to be much more vital to your success as an author. So when it comes to these advanced reader copies, you can choose to send out physical books. A lot of readers will demand physical books to post a little bit about them, and that usually is not a great financial choice because there's a lot of overhead with that. Typically, we see authors giving out digital copies, ebooks of this, and this works better for the authors, but not all of the readers love that. Now, there was a time when working with advanced readers was a lot more helpful. That time is long since past because now everybody has access to their own TikTok channel. Anybody can be making content. And so if you are going to work with one of the big names, you will have to pay a lot of money for them to talk about your books in their TikToks or on their YouTube channel or whatever it happens to be because they're entrepreneurs, because they do brand deals. And it is a brand deal to represent your book. So your ARCs should not be considered the same thing as working with people on a brand deal. And just going to readers and saying, I would like to offer you a free copy of my book doesn't do anything anymore. So let's dial this back. You can send out physical copies. If you're going to do that, you got to do it really, really smart. And you got to be very strategic about how you do this, whether you are creating like a book box to send to a couple of influencers, you're paying to get those influencers to create content about your book, which is a really good idea, by the way, very good idea, but does cost you money. Or you are just, kind of trying to get people to do some reviews for you. So if you are trying to get people to just put reviews on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and places like that, you can put out a call for ARC readers. Now, you want to be smart about this. If you have a straight team, if you have a fan club, if you've got people that you typically work with, by all means, send them advanced copies. If you have trusted people you know are going to read it and review it, do it. That is well worth it to send out those digital ebooks to them so they can read things in advance and build up the hype. But typically that means you have to have an established fan base first. Now you can put out a call on social media, but you don't know who you're getting. When it comes to advanced reader copies, and this has been true across the board all of the time that this has been a thing, you are going to send out way more copies than you are going to get back reviews. You're going to send out a lot, and a very small percentage will actually do the work. Most people are in it for the free things and they don't typically post about it. So if you are doing this, don't go into it thinking I'm sending out 10 books and I'm getting 10 reviews. If you send out 10 books, you'll be lucky to get a review. If you send out 100 books, you'll be lucky to get 2, 3, 4, 5 reviews. It is one of those situations where you're going to have to blanket it and just fingers crossed for best results. Don't go into this harassing people. You cannot really follow up with these people. Just take note of who is and isn't doing the work. And in the future, when those people reach out for those advanced copies, know who you can trust and who you can't. This truly, especially for newer authors, is a very big gamble. You're trying your best. Use this as a marketing tactic. In fact, if you're smart about this, if you're strategic about this, you can market the advanced reader copies and get more for your buck out of just the organic marketing you're doing on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram than you do for actually getting people to read and leave those reviews. So ARCs are designed to get reviews on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Goodreads and all of those places. You cannot require anybody post. And if they post in exchange for or have any relation to you, Like if you're a friend, if you're a family member, like any kind of connection to you, those platforms will take those reviews down, and they could potentially ban you as the author or them as the reader, or both, because you're not allowed to do those things. It's against the terms of service. So you have to be very careful with this. Those advanced reader copies don't work the way that they used to. So you have to come into it with a strategy. So with that in mind, I want you to go into this hoping for the best. If you want to try this, just see what you can get out of it, but know you're giving away a lot of free copies of your book. Don't spend money on physical copies of these books. It's going to cost you a lot of money. The digital copies really don't cost you very much. And in order to send those out, it's actually really easy. Now, there are some programs that will send those out for you. I use Prolific Works. It's free. I just put my file up there and then I just send people the download link. It's very easy to do, but there are some that you can pay for, some that will collect like emails for you and put them on your newsletter and things like that. I want it to be easy and simple and cost effective for you. So you can even host your files like on your own website and just send them out. It's very, very easy to do the technical side of this. You're just looking for an easy way to send those files out that people can download in whichever format they need. So if you host it on your own website, you might have to, ask, do you need the Mobi? Do you need the EPUB? Like which files do you need? You might have to do a little bit of help and tweaking with them. If you use something like Prolific Works, they can just click on the link and choose which version they're going to download. So there are options with this, and you don't have to use Prolific Works. It's just what was the big thing when I first started, and I've just stuck with it. But there are lots of options for this. You just have to know that you are going to be sending a lot of these things out. So for most people, it doesn't usually work to your benefit. If you can market this really good and turn this into a marketing opportunity, you might do better. You might do better, have further reach, get better people, more qualified people joining in on what you're doing. But know that this is not something that is wildly beneficial to authors anymore. This is something that we used to do, that used to be more beneficial, and is now something that just kind of carried on legacy-wise. So do you have to do this? No. I don't do this anymore. Like, I really don't. If I see some readers, like, if I have hardcore fans and I just kind of want to slip them a copy, I will, but I don't do ARCs as a thing anymore. If people are like winning things, I'll frequently, and I really like this opportunity better. If I'm doing a live stream, I will give away a copy of my new book, an early copy of my new book, to somebody who is commenting and engaging and doing all of those things. But I don't really do ARCs in the sense of doing ARCs. But it's entirely up to you. It might be really beneficial to you. It might actually work for you. You might give away hundreds and hundreds of copies, but I'll actually get a couple of reviews that are going to be really good in helping you to make those sales. So it really is just trial and error. You can jump into it and try it. Just because it doesn't work one time doesn't mean it won't work another time. And just because it works doesn't mean it's working. So it's really up to you. What do you want to do? What's going to work best for you? But please be cost aware of how you are doing this and how you're reaching out to people. And understand that ARCs are not for people who do brand deals. If you are seeing big readers jumping in and saying, I would like to send you a physical copy of my book, doesn't mean anything to them, and they're just going to laugh and close your email out. So be very, very aware of how you're doing this so that you're doing it in the proper way, because we are well beyond where a lot of authors are now trying to come from. Just be careful as you're doing this. Questions on this, go ahead and drop it down below. Just make sure you're being smart about how you are delivering these things and how you're giving them out and who you're giving them out to, and that you're keeping detailed records of who you've worked with and how it's gone for you, so that in the future you can make good decisions about working with them again in the future. And we'll see you in our upcoming episodes every single day here to help you navigate the world of publishing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make this your most profitable year ever with the least amount of stress, overwhelm, and time commitment on your content creation.